Really glad we made it.
Me too. Wow.
You know what I'm most excited about is this first slide. I'm really glad we made this. This first slide is my favorite slide in the whole darn deck. And this is a slide. This first slide, we've been working on this slide for 8 years, and here it is. That's your cue.
I got it. Thank you.
8 long years on that one.
8 years.
A lot of work. We're in full compliance with all SEC regulations, and so are you.
So ever since Brian and I were little children, other children were playing baseball and cricket, we were dreaming of one day being fully SEC compliant. That was the dream. So I'm glad we pulled it off.
Seriously, thanks for all your help. Hope you enjoy the show. Dharmesh is going to kick us off.
Thanks. Thanks, Brian. All right. So what's the one thing we all have in common? I mean, besides being enchanted by Guy Kawasaki and inspired by Simon Sinek, who went to those talks, by the way? Amazing, amazing. Those guys, by the way, have literally transformed how I think about business and how I think about life. I've known them for a long time. The thing I'm thinking about, though, the thing that binds us all together, the one thing we all have in common, is we all want to grow. That's why we're here. We have a company we want to grow, we have a nonprofit we want to grow, we want to grow. And as it turns out, I have some experience with fast-growing things. In this case, a tiny human. That's my son, Sohan. In case you're wondering why he looks perturbed, it's because he doesn't have the iPhone 6 yet. But the other thing I have experience with, in terms of growing things, is growing companies. I've been around startups my whole life. I've seen lots of growth stories. And the one I'm most proud of, because I've had not just courtside seats, I've been on the court, is the Hubspot story. Now, I hesitated to put this chart up. This is the Hubspot revenue growth chart. And we're proud of this chart. We've had a relatively remarkable run. But I'm more proud of this chart. This chart is the customer growth at HubSpot over the last several years. And the reason I'm proud of this one is because when Brian and I started HubSpot, we did not start it just to grow HubSpot. We started it to help grow thousands of other companies. That was the idea, is to help companies grow. That's why we started it. So what I'm going to do in this talk, I want to talk about growth, how to think about growth, how to plan growth, and how to execute and get growth. So I'm going to draw lessons from HubSpot, draw lessons from those 10,000 plus companies that we've seen over the years. And I'm going to group them into 3 areas. Perspective, how do you think about growth? I'm going to talk about people. I'm going to talk about platform and technology. So those are the kind of 3 broad areas or topics that I'm going to jump into. So let's first talk about perspective and how you think about growth. One thing I've learned is that growth is never an accident. There's no magic, there's no pixie dust. You don't wake up one Monday morning and it's like, oh, we just grew 300% last night. We're not exactly sure why. That doesn't happen, right? Growth happens as a result of deliberate planning and decision making. You need to decide you're going to grow. You need to have a plan. That's lesson 1. Every plan should have a goal. And I'm going to posit to you that goal should not be incremental. That goal should be incredible. It should be bold. Don't think incremental growth, think 2x, 5x, 10x growth. What I call exceptional growth. And we'll talk more about why that is. So to kind of dig into perspective a little bit, I'm going to pull out the book of HubSpot. And one of the early chapters in the book of HubSpot is the story of how I almost sort of met Brian. And this happens on April 14th, 2004, over a decade ago. And April 14th, 2004 was both an exciting day and an excruciating, exasperating day on the same day for me. Let me tell you why. That's the day that classes were about to start. I had been accepted into MIT. I was going to go to grad school, very excited about that. And the reason it was excruciating is MIT, in their infinite wisdom, sent me an email and said, hey, we're going to have a social gathering, a cocktail party to orient the incoming students. and so they can get to know each other and socialize. This is a crushingly depressing blow for me. Crushingly depressing blow. I'm an introvert. The worst thing you can do to me is expect me to socialize with people I've never met and make random small talk. It's the worst thing you can do to me. Because most people, when they go to kind of cocktail parties and social mixers, they're milling about, having a good time. That's not me. I'm not one of those people. When I'm in that kind of environment, I revert to my 5-year-old, insecure, introverted self, and that's me, right? I go back to when I was a child. And it's been that way for pretty much most of my life. Now, the good news on this particular day is my wife, Kirsten, was with me. And she's lovely. And she gets me as no one has ever got me, and no one probably ever will. And when Kirsten's there, the experience is completely transformed for me, right? It's like I am in my own little world. I'm a happy person. Doesn't matter what's going on. So she's there. Now I'm having a good time. And one thing she does, because she knows me so well, she knows that if I sit in a corner and don't meet people, which is the thing that I'm gravitating towards, when we get home, I'm gonna be upset with myself, and I'm gonna be disappointed in myself that I didn't take advantage of the opportunity to meet people, right? So I'm on the one hand, it's my comfort zone. On the other hand, I'm gonna be a little upset. My guess is some of you have that kind of feeling. It takes a lot of energy, but you don't want to miss out. How many, applaud if you've ever had that moment. Yeah, many of you probably have had it in the last 24 hours is my guess. And so what Kirsten does, because she knows me, is that she goes on a mission at this party. And her mission is to scout for people, to figure out who I might want to meet and connect with while I'm there, so I don't have to randomly pick someone. I can meet the people that she thinks I would mesh with, right? She knows me. And so she does that. She goes off on this reconnaissance mission, if you will, right? And she comes back 10 or 15 minutes later. She's like, oh, I met Priya. You should meet Priya. I met this guy, Mike. You should meet Mike. And then I came across this guy, Brian Halligan. I don't think you're going to mesh with him very well. You know, he's a sales guy. He's been working in sales his whole life, which means he's an extrovert, with a capital E. And the other thing is, he's going to want to talk to you about sports. And I know nothing about sports, but I'm still mildly offended that it's like, okay, well, I have the internet. I can make talk about sports. How hard could that? It's like, oh, the Red Sox had an amazing game yesterday. Tom Brady was awesome. That three-pointer cinched it, I tell you. That three-pointer at the very end cinched. Sports. And so she comes back with this report. So I do meet Brian that day. Very quick, polite, courteous. He probably met everyone that day, capital E extrovert and all. So it's interesting. So we start classes, and it takes me about a month of classes with Brian to figure out he's not like any sales guy I've ever met. He is one of the smartest people I've met. Not the smartest person that I met at MIT, but in the top decile. That's pretty good. It took me another month to figure out that he's actually not an extrovert. He isn't. He's not an extrovert. And yet another month of classes to figure out he's not a sports fan. He's a sports nut. He's crazy about it. It's just, my God, he's such a huge Red Sox fan. It's amazing. So I got to know Brian, and we hit it off, right? In the first 2 or 3 months of classes, we kind of figured this out, and we had lots of chemistry, common values, and we noodled on the idea of maybe we should do something together someday and start a company or something. So we made ourselves spend time with each other. We picked projects, we wrote papers and things like that, and we got to know each other. Then in 2005, in the summer of 2005, Brian graduates. I still have another year to go. When Brian graduates, he joins a venture capital firm, a VC firm. And his job at the venture capital firm is to help their portfolio of startups grow. That's his job. He's had an entire career helping companies grow, successful career. That's his job, that's what he's doing. Meanwhile, I'm writing my thesis, taking some classes, and I start a blog called onstartups.com, part of my thesis work. And a funny thing happens. We're meeting once a week or so, And Brian and I would chat about his startups. We would chat about my blog and the thesis, and we would chat about startup ideas. And he would come back and he's like, you know, the startup thing is, this marketing for these startups is not working. Like, we can't seem to get any traction, get traffic to our website. Like, it's just not happening. And meanwhile, the rinky-dink blog I had started on startups, the traffic was growing enormously. This is a very stark contrast between those two things. And so Brian comes to me in one of these meetings and he's like, Dharmesh, you know, I see the on startups traffic. Like, what channels are you using? Like, where are you allocating your budget to get kind of that kind of traffic? It's amazing. I have smart VPs of marketing here. They have, like, what are you doing? Where are you putting your money? Where? And my first response is, budget. What is this budget you speak of? And I told him I'm just writing content that I think might be interesting to people. That's it. So Brian's response is, yeah, but if no one's reading your blog, no one knows you exist. Like, it's like if a blogger blogs in the basement and no one reads it, did they blog at all kind of thing? Like, how does this matter? And so then we got to talking about how websites were these kind of islands, right, out in the middle of nowhere. Nobody knows about them. And the whole job was essentially to get found. And so then we had our first proverbial light bulb moment. Brian's like, wait a second, all this old school marketing stuff, the playbook I've known and used for so long, doesn't seem to be working. Yet this new stuff seems to be working really, really well. There's something here. So we dug in, and eventually we ended up kind of encapsulating this idea into what we called inbound marketing. So he wrote a book, did well, runaway hit, multiple languages and all that. And I'm going to walk you through some of the concepts in the book because I think they're relevant in terms of growth. The big observation in the book was that old school marketing is an arms race for attention. You're fighting for the scarce attention that people have, right? Like, how can I get them to pay attention to my billboard, to my ad, to my whatever? And the issue is we call it paying attention for a reason, right? It's paying attention. We are paying with our time in the hopes of getting some value back. That's why we call it paying attention. Now, the issue with marketing that's based on getting people to pay attention is that no matter how big you are, there's always someone bigger willing to pay more for that same scarce attention. So the issue is this kind of brute force approach to buying your way in just doesn't scale. That's not the way to get exceptional growth. It just doesn't work. What you need is you need leverage to get exceptional growth. And when I talk about leverage, I'm talking about physics. Leverage in the sense that I can spend a small amount of energy and get disproportionate results, right? That's leverage. It's like your car jack. It's like literally a lever. And so in order to get exceptional growth, you need to do things that drive leverage, that give you an advantage. And this is why inbound marketing works so well, because it gives you leverage. And the reason it does that, it's predicated on a very simple idea that marketing should be about pulling people in, attracting them, creating something useful, and not interrupting them. When you're interrupting them, it doesn't scale. There is no leverage. No one's going to spread the word. It's like, oh my God, I got this brilliant ad in the mail. It doesn't happen, right? But if you create something people love, they spread it, you get leverage. You can create a blog article, and it can do well. You get lots of traffic. And that same article will generate traffic for years. We have content we wrote 8 years ago when we started Hubspot. To this day, people still visit that article. They become leads. They become customers. One-time investment creating the article, a lifetime of value. That's leverage. So that's at the heart of what I think has caused HubSpot's kind of modest success to date, is that we think even though you can't outspend others, you can always outthink them, you can outteach them, and you can definitely out-help them. This is the heart of what drives HubSpot and makes us who we are. So quick, who has been helped by HubSpot? You've read a blog article, you've called support. Applaud if you've, I can't see you. So awesome, thank you. So inbound, as we defined it, was basically a new playbook. It was a new approach to marketing that had this value of leverage to drive exceptional growth. And some of you are looking at this, it's like, okay, Dharmesh, what the heck kind of sport is that? I call it basketball. Work with me here, it's all right. So inbound is basically the shift from delusion-driven marketing to data-driven marketing, like moving into reality. Delusional marketing is when you think you can get away with the same things you've been doing for years and years because people have no choice but to tolerate it. That's a delusion. The data suggests that that is simply not true. People will continue to more effectively block you out, more effectively ignore you. We need to make the shift from delusion-driven to data-driven. So that's perspective. So how do you think about growth? Think high. Make marketing about the other person, make it empathetic, draw them in. That gives you leverage, and leverage is what you need to get exceptional growth. But no amount of fancy perspectives and really well-written playbooks are going to work if there's no one to execute the plays, right? People matter. So we're going to shift and we're going to talk about people. The first thing is, if you're going to get good at growth, if you're looking for exceptional growth, you're going to have to get great at recruiting. And this is non-trivial because there is a fierce race for marketing talent. I'm going to tell you why. This is an approximation for how developer salaries have grown over the last 10 years. It's basically straight and up to the right. I'm a developer myself, try to write code every week, except the last few weeks I've been in PowerPoint more than Python, but still, it's worth it, by the way, this moment itself, it's worth it. So the question is, well, yeah, I see that developer salaries have gone up, but if you look at a developer or a group of developers, the observable behavior is that they're sitting at keyboards typing for most of the time. That's what developers do. That's what I do. Then you ask yourself, well, typists sit at keyboards all day and they're typing. We don't pay them like we pay developers. Why do we pay developers so much? Why do we pay them so much? Why have they had such a great run? And the answer is very simple. They get paid so much because they create things that build leverage. They write those 200 lines of code late on a Friday night that can transform the product, transform the business, and drive leverage, and have this kind of incredible 10x return, right? That's why we pay them, is that they have the opportunity to do this 10x kind of thing. And I'm going to posit to you that marketers do precisely the same thing. They create things that have the opportunity to drive leverage. They can create that one brilliant blog article, that one video, that one ebook that produces not just short-term, wow, that was for life, that one piece of content. So, I'm going to predict that over the course of the next 5 years, marketing salaries are going to double. Because it's, if you're a marketer, these are good times. Honestly, I'm going to have some explaining to do when I get back to the office and talk to our CFO. But for me, it's a matter of simple economics. It's simple supply and demand. Right now, there's a massive asymmetry between the demand for marketing stars and the supply of marketing stars. Because people are waking up, it's like, oh yeah, this content creation, inbound marketing stuff works. It gives us, this is awesome, and there's not enough people yet. We're growing, as you can see. So I think it's going to be a really great time. So now let's say you are in the enviable position of building out the team, recruiting marketers. So the question is, okay, how do I get ahead in this fierce race for marketing stars? How do I recruit them? What do I do? Which brings me to chapter 2 from the book of Hubspot. I call this one, you want me to do what? Let me explain. This is the photo from July 2008 of a Hubspot social gathering for the employees / company meeting. It's at a nightclub / lounge / bowling alley. I kid you not, it's at King's right by the Fenway. And because we're HubSpot, we pick a venue that has the ability to project PowerPoint slides. Because what company has a social gathering without PowerPoint slides, right? And so the night before this particular meeting, Brian sends me this email. It's like, Dharmesh, what are you going to talk about tomorrow? If you don't have anything promising, I have a good idea for you. Now, this is when my little spidey sense kicks in, and I'm thinking, run, Forrest, run, right? And as it turns out, my spidey instincts were dead right. They were dead right, because here's what Brian had in mind. He's like, you know, I've been talking to other CEOs or whatever, and this culture thing is important. Why don't you dig in and figure out this culture thing, right? And my reaction is, dude, of all the people at HubSpot that could work on culture, I'm in the bottom decile, my friend. Like, I'm maybe the worst, but at least in the bottom decile. This doesn't make any sense. But then I'm like, okay, how hard could it be? People have written books, there are videos, we have this thing called the internet, and we'll try to figure it out. So I dig in, and it was so hard. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my professional career. Not because I'm an introvert, it's because people are hard. Very, very hard. So I dug in and talked to employees, we did surveys, and we took the results from all of this, and HubSpot produced the HubSpot Culture Code deck. It's a slide deck, started internally as a document. We published it a little over a year ago. Applaud if you've read the Culture Code deck. I'm just curious. A bunch of you. Okay. Which is, and it's been interesting though. So the Culture Code is not about marketing, not about growth. It's about culture, which we didn't know that much about, and is the single most popular piece of content HubSpot has ever produced. 1.5 million views on SlideShare alone. Massively successful because there's this need. People were figuring out, just like we were, this culture thing is important. So I'm going to bring out 3 quick lessons from the Culture Code that I think apply as you're looking to grow, as you're looking to get leverage, that I think are applicable. Number 1 is culture is important, and here's why it's important. We know that if you have a better product, it's easier to market it. If you have a better product, a service, and offering, the better the product is, the offering is, the easier it is to market. It's not counterintuitive at all. In the same way, the better your culture is, the easier it is to recruit amazing people. That's not counterintuitive either. It makes complete sense. The better your culture, the better your brand, because that's what you're selling. You're selling your culture when you're recruiting, trying to bring people in. Better your culture, easier it is to recruit. So the question is, well, what makes for an amazing culture? What is it that draws amazing people in? And it's interesting, the thing that people talk about when they talk about culture, when I talk to companies, they mention Margarita Tuesdays, and the pool table, and the social gatherings on Friday, and oh, and we have movie night and we socialize. It's like, it's a really vibrant culture, right? It's like and the thing we've learned, and this is not just HubSpot, this exists across every team that I've talked to, lots and lots of amazing people, that the perks don't matter nearly as much as the people you work with. Perks don't matter nearly enough. What matters to people, if you ask them, and we've done surveys, every 90 days for years and years, HubSpot sends a survey out to all its employees and says, hey, on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend HubSpot as a place to work? And the second question is, why? Why did you give us that score? The good news is people are happy. On the why question, it's always the other people at HubSpot, right? And this is true across the board, true for all of you. So what this means is that if you're going to build an amazing team that drives growth, you're going to need to start with amazing people. Now this seems a bit like a chicken and egg problem. It's like, okay, to get amazing people, I need to start with amazing people. So how do I get those amazing people in the first place? And one of the things that helps with that is your goal, is your ambition. It's what you're trying to do. Because awesome people don't like average goals. They don't. Awesome people want to be ambitious. They want to do the impossible, right? And they believe, they have that energy. That's what makes them awesome. So this is why you want to shoot for 10x, 5x, 10x growth. because it becomes partly a self-fulfilling prophecy. You drive for 10x growth, amazing people are like, you're crazy, but in a good way, you're my kind of crazy, right? And they join the team. That's what you want. You want those amazing people to join. And they draw more amazing people. So that's my piece of advice on people. Spend time on it. You're going to have to spend time and get good at recruiting. It will not work any other way, I promise you. All right, so let's focus now on platform and technology. And I'm going to give you a quick word of caution. My title is CTO of Hubspot. I'm the Chief Technology Officer. So for clear reasons, I have bias, right? We're a software company. We sell software. We have customers in the room. But just because I'm biased doesn't make me wrong. Just remember that. Just because I'm biased doesn't mean I'm wrong. All right, so let's jump in. The third and final story from the book of HubSpot about this crazy thing we did. The craziest thing I've ever done in my professional career, honestly. And here's how the story starts. So when we last left our protagonist, we had this light bulb moment around inbound marketing. Wow, like this is awesome. This is brilliant. And as it turns out, we weren't the only ones. David Meerman Scott was talking about it. Joe Paluzzi was talking about it. Ann Handley was talking about it. Guy Kawasaki was talking about it. Gary Vaynerchuk was. It was obvious, which is great. Brian had one question. He's like, okay, this is awesome. And we didn't know it was as obvious at the time. We thought we were brilliant, amazing. And he's like, okay, inbound marketing, good. How do I actually make it happen at these startups that I'm trying to help, right? He's working for this venture capital firm, inbound marketing, good. What do you do to make it happen? I'm like, easy. Start with a content management system. Lots of great ones out there. Throw in some SEO tools. Great ones out there. Social media, landing pages, email, marketing automation, analytics to tie it all together. And then you need some dudette or a dude to kind of wire it all together, right? Because these are all from different companies and you have to kind of piece it together. And when I say a dude, I don't mean like the dude, right? Who's amazing, but I don't know he knows that much about distributed data synchronization, but amazing nonetheless. And so Brian comes back, he's like, Dharmesh, that sounds like a science project. And I'm like, well, you say that as if it were a bad thing, Brian. I'm kidding. And as it turns out, that is a science project. You're trying to piece together these kind of spare parts. I'm going to take the brain from this and bolt this on and do this and do this. And the result of that science project is what I call a Franken system. And Franken systems start with the best intent. We're going to do this amazing thing. We've got this awesome email marketing tool and this awesome social media, and we're going to wire it all together, and it's going to be awesome. And what ends up happening with Franken systems may take a month, may take a year, may take several years, but invariably, the monster stops working for you, and you start working for the monster. That's what happens with Franken systems. So applaud if you've ever been in the situation where you felt like most of your life was consumed at some point, like managing the monster. That's what happens. And so the crazy thing that we did is that we said, you know what? We're going to do all the things. We're going to do all the things that are necessary to be done so we can get thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of businesses off the sidelines into the game. So we built a content management system, a blogging application, social media, analytics. This is crazy, crazy. And then marketing automation and email and landing pages for middle of the funnel. Even crazier, right? So now we have this platform, and it was working out pretty well. And you would think, like Brian would be now ready for his happy dance. It's like, dude, like we have a platform now, it does all the things that people needed to do. Let's put it out there. And he was happy, but it wasn't quite enough the Brian Halligan happy dance. Because what you needed was not just a technology platform. What you needed was an ecosystem. You needed to learn about inbound marketing. So we had a blog, and we have created lots and lots of content to teach people about inbound marketing. We have HubSpot Academy to help train and certify people. And most importantly, in my mind, we had this entire network of partner agencies that were helping businesses that had gotten religion. They were part of the movement, but weren't exactly sure how to do it. Applaud if you're an inbound marketing agency and you're in the room. Thank you. None of this would have been possible, by the way, without you, because this massive asymmetry has existed for a long. By the way, you guys are going to see good times. It's like life is good. I'm not seeing that dwindle at all. Haven't seen it in years. So that's the platform, and I'm going to dig into like some of the things we've been working on in the product. And I'm going to warn you now, I'm going to geek out a little bit. And when I get excited, I tend to talk faster. I don't know why that is. I'm really excited, so bear with me. So the first set of features I want to talk about is around the notion that growth is a team sport, right? It's not just one person. It's not even just marketing. It's a team sport. And teams are not individual players running around the field doing whatever the heck they want. Teams are an organized, coordinated group of people with a common goal that are pursuing that goal. That's what a team is. So we thought it might be nice to build a tool that sat above all the HubSpot applications to help you create campaigns. Now, this is Brian's favorite new tool of all the things that we've done. And here's why. It's seemingly very simple. It's like, oh, here are the list of things you need to do in a modern marketing campaign. You need to do this and this and this, and here's who's working on that, and is this step done yet? It's just an organizing tool, right? So it makes, if you're a professional marketer, you've been doing this for a while, it makes your life easier, right? But if you're just getting into marketing, and you're trying to and you were the intern that just got hired and you're trying to figure all this out, this is amazing. It's like, oh, I know exactly what needs to be done, and I can track our progress, and it works out really, really well. And so what's interesting about the campaigns tool is you can not only manage your campaign, you can track what's going on, and you can put it all in one place. Now, who thinks this is a useful thing to kind of get coordinated? Okay? All right. A bunch of you. So that's helpful, by the way, because the lights I can't see out there. I'm going to do this. I've done this before. So I'm going to use your applause as a way to measure your degree of, and don't pander, your degree of enthusiasm around the stuff I'm about to show you, right? And just to test, I need to calibrate the acoustics. To test and benchmark what the upper limit is, I'd like you to applaud if you like babies, chocolate, or Game of Thrones. If you like any of those things, please applaud it. All right. Thank you. So what we have just done is establish the scientific theoretical limit on audience love right there. Okay, so now we kind of know what the maximum is, so we can kind of dig in. All right, so let's talk about something different. We're going to jump in. So if you have a team, the other thing that you need as a coordinating mechanism is a calendar. And a little bit like campaigns, this seems trivial. It does. It's like, calendar. As it turns out, this is super important to pull into the product. So we've built a new calendaring app in HubSpot, and it does the things you would expect it to do. Thank you. Yeah. And what it does is it lets your team get on the same page and figure out what are the tweets that are coming up, what blog articles have we scheduled, when's that email campaign going out. It puts that all in one central place so you can have a bird's eye view of what's going on your team. It's a coordinating application, and it's pretty cool. The other thing it lets you do is you can add tasks to the calendar. Simple, very useful. Thank you. So I'll show that to you. So we're going to add a task here. And the task is going to be for me to follow up with a Q&A on inbound.org, which we'll talk about in a little bit, that I'll do after this. So we'll add a task, and it puts it out there. And so that's cool. All right, so we're going to stay on the topic of people and teams. And this one is one I've been personally working on, as in writing lines of code and such. One thing that's always bothered me is that we have a massive network and community of inbound folks. Massive network. Look at all of you. Like, some of you, when I talked to you 6, 7, 3 years ago, you're like, oh, this inbound marketing thing is great. Don't tell, this is like a competitive advantage. Don't tell my neighbor. Don't tell the other companies in my business. sorry to break it to you, the secret's out. Look around, but one of the things that's bothered me is that we haven't had this community that pulls us all together. And that's what inbound.org is. It's an online community whose mission is to connect, learn, to help marketers connect, learn, and grow. That's what it does. And so you can submit content. Oh, here's a great article that I found. You can upvote and downvote and comment and discuss content. And that's awesome. But I'm going to show you the most useful feature, especially if you're looking to grow your team and build your team. So we have about 36,000 members in inbound.org now on the community. And we have this very cool, so we're going to go to the member directory here. 36,000+ people, growing very quickly. About 100,000 visitors a month for those that are like interested in traffic. So just out the roof, it's growing fast. But we have a search feature. And the search feature is cool because when you build your inbound.org profile, it's not like your LinkedIn profile. It's so much more because it's focused on marketing. You can earn badges. Like, oh, I'm inbound marketing certified. I went to inbound 14. You can connect the tools that you use, not just HubSpot, MailChimp, Google Analytics, all the tools that you use. And then the search feature lets you search based on that. I want to find someone in Sydney that happens to be inbound marketing certified. And it lets you know who they are. You can click into their profile. So we'll click on Nicholas's profile here. And what happens is that you get to see what Nicholas has done on the site. What articles has he submitted? What commentaries he provided? Who thinks that's awesome? I'm leading the witness a little bit. Okay. All right. If you haven't joined yet, you should. It's good. So let's talk about social media. We all know it's a massively important channel for marketing. Hundreds of millions of users on Twitter, more users on Facebook than there are atoms in the universe, from what I hear, right? It's just huge, some big number. And the reason, and we've had, as a result of that, we've had an application in HubSpot called Social Inbox that we've had for a while. And it's smart because it connects to our inbound database and doesn't tell you just how many retweets you got, but who, right? Because it knows who your leads are and who your customers are. And that's been pretty cool. But we thought we could take it further, right? And I use this app probably the most of any. We thought we could take it further. Like, what if we made the sole mission of the app is to save marketers time so they could get more leverage? Because here's the number one complaint, I'll say this, complaint marketers have is that social media is not my full-time job. We don't have a budget for social media management. It's just me. I don't have the time to do it. So the new version of Social Inbox, its sole mission in life, what the product managers ask themselves every day is, how do we help marketers tame that social media beast in 20 minutes a day? So assuming you only had 20 minutes, it's like priority inbox for your social, right? Like everything all in one place, and it lets you kind of respond and react and make the most of those 20 minutes. We don't expect you to live inside Social Inbox. We expect you to put the 20 minutes in and get massive leverage out. So you can tweet and favorite. It's very cool. Who's excited about that? Awesome. Okay. Let's talk about analytics and reporting. One thing we know is you can't grow what you can't measure. Because if you can't measure, you don't know what's working, so you don't know where to double down and put your investments. So HubSpot's always had great integrated reporting in HubSpot. From year one, we've had that. But we thought we could take it further. So we've added awesome new email reporting, because email is a hugely important asset. It gives you this dashboard and tells you, how is that asset performing? Are you getting leverage out of that asset? Is it growing? Is it dwindling? What's happening there? Email dashboard. Thank you. Oops. All right. I'm going to go quickly through these. We have attribution reporting. This is somewhat sophisticated. I'll give you the simple version of it. Is that attribution reporting helps you answer the question not just which blog articles drove people to my website, which we've had and lots of people have. Attribution reporting helps you understand how much credit do you attribute to various assets that you have in marketing. It's like, well, this blog article doesn't pull people in, but 87% of the people that buy from us end up reading it somewhere along the way. That article should get credit even though people didn't start there, right? It's an important asset, and attribution reporting helps you dig in one more layer and understand how you're getting leverage from the investment that you're making in these marketing assets. Who's excited about attribution reporting? Wow, okay. It's great. And speaking of reporting, we thought, you know, what if you could report better on the one metric that matters most? The one metric that matters most. Revenue, right? Revenue. We've heard this from HubSpot customers all the time. I'm happy to announce we have revenue reporting in HubSpot. And it sits on top of the inbound database. You can be using any CRM. You have whatever fields that you use to track revenue. That all works, and it's awesome. So let's shift gears a little bit now. Talk about your website. Still one of the most important assets that you have in your marketing arsenal. Last year, HubSpot launched the COS, the Content Optimization System. And it was our take on what we thought a CMS should be if it were built from the ground up for getting leverage out of marketing. That's why it exists. And so a bunch of you have launched sites on the COS. They're beautiful. Here's an example. Here's another one. This one has like a mobile screenshot. The COS was built from the ground up, so it's mobile optimized to start with, so you don't have to spend extra calories trying to make it mobile optimized. It's built for that. Here's another example. And this is not a customer website. This is the default theme that comes with the HubSpot COS. So if you were to start on HubSpot COS, this is what your website could look like. It's awesome. But websites are not just about being beautiful. Websites are about being blindingly fast, because one thing we have overwhelming data on is that faster websites better. Faster websites make humans happier. Happier humans makes Google happier. And if Google's happier, you get better rank. Good things happen with faster websites. The data is overwhelming. And the HubSpot COS, this is tricky, because when we launched the HubSpot COS, speed was a core feature. Because we've known this. This was not a surprise or a revelation to us. So even out of the gate, the HubSpot COS was fast, like really, really fast. And the engineering team dug in and wanted to make it faster, which they did. And you might be wondering, well, how much faster? Not 20% faster, 2 times as fast. So this is the overall. Yes, you can apply, especially if you've been in engineering. This is not easy, not easy. Just way faster, way faster. And I'm going to tell you now the steps for those of you that are on the COS that you have to go through to kind of get the speed improvement. 0 steps. You don't have to do anything. Your websites are faster, essentially. All right. When we launched the COS last year, we also launched the ability to deliver a personalized experience. So you could use any of the information in the inbound database and surface it to deliver a personalized experience, because a personalized experience is a more effective experience. You get more leverage out of your marketing assets if you can personalize. So we've known that. But we thought we could take it further. So we asked ourselves, what if we could personalize for the first time web visitor? So the first time someone visits our website, what if we could personalize that visitor's experience? Now, some are you going to pause? It's like, wait a second. How do you deliver a personalized experience when we have no data? This person hasn't filled out a form. They're not a lead in our database. How do you personalize for those people? And the answer is, it's not easy, but everyone that visits your website brings a little piece of context with them. Even before they fill out a form, before they do anything, they bring it with them the very first time they visit. Things like what device they're on, what location they're coming in from, geographically, and if they clicked on a link to come to your website, where was that link? It's like, oh, did this person come in from that New York Times article that published last week that mentioned us? So you have those pieces of information, and now I'm thrilled to announce that the HubSpot COS allows anonymous personalization now, so you can take any of that context and deliver a personalized experience. Really excited about that. Cool, thank you. Now, HubSpot has long had a marketing automation system, and I'm biased. I think it's one of the best ones out there. The reason I think it's one of the best ones out there, other than the fact that it's true, the reason is it's built on top of this inbound database where we have all this data, right? Your website, your email clicks, everything, and we allow you to automate based on any of that data. And we've talked about that in the past. But we thought we could take it further. What if we could make those workflows, those automated workflows, even smarter? what if we could let them make decisions based on the data in the database? What if they could do branching logic? Who thinks that would be pretty cool? Who thinks that's a pretty good idea? So we have that now. And it works exactly as you would expect it to work, right? You can add a step to your workflow and say, if this is true, I want to do these 3 things. If this is true, I want to do these other 3 things. And you build it right inside the workflow, visual, easy, anyone can do it. It's awesome. So we've talked about, so I'm going to wind down here, talked about lots of ideas. And clearly you guys are excited about all of them to varying degrees. But I have a confession. The best ideas, some of the best ideas we've ever had at HubSpot, we've actually never had them. You had them. So this is years ago, we were sitting around, I'll have to give you this quick story. So we're sitting around debating what customers want. It's like, oh, well, we think they want this, and this other group says, no, no, they want this instead. And then like the realization set in, I was like, why don't we just let them tell us what they want, right? So just tell us. And so we created this website, ideas.hubspot.com, that lets you submit ideas, many of you have used it, and vote on each other's ideas. And I'm happy to tell you, you guys are awesome, right? If you're a HubSpot customer and if you've contributed like it, can you applaud? Just I want to know how many customers are out there, just to get a sense. Oh, okay, cool, thank you. I'm thrilled to announce, of those ideas that you had, not us, you had, in the last year, 143 of them got crossed off the list and are done. Who's excited about that? So, obviously I can't dig into everything and show you everything, although I'd love to. All the information around the new features that we have, to go to www.hubspot.com/new, and that's where it all is. So I'm going to wind down now. I'm going to try and distill this down to like one message. One message. So I've talked to you about growth, right? That's what this entire talk has been about, and leverage. That's how you get growth. And I'm going to argue to you that although it would be cool to get someone to like you or like your business on Facebook, it would be cool to get someone to like you on Facebook. What is 1,000 times more powerful is to get them to love you in real life, right? Here's what you want. You want people to love what you believe in. You want them to love who you are as a company and the people. You want them to love you, and you want them to love the reasons why you do what you do. If you can get that, that's leverage, essentially. That's what you should be out aspiring towards. So to close out, exceptional growth, not easy at all. So much easier if a bunch of people love you. I want to thank you for your time. This is a humbling, energizing experience. Thank you for all the love. Thank you for making this possible. Thank you. Now I'd like to invite back to the stage my friend, co-founder, and CEO of HubSpot, Brian Halligan. Nice job.
Okay, this is my dog Romeo in the full stretch position. Why don't you join Romeo? Let's do a big stand up and a big, everyone stand up and stretch. Big stretch it out, yeah, like Romeo. And then, come on, shake it off. Romeo has a big shake. Good job. Well done. Nicely done. That was very good. Okay. Really liked Dharmesh's talk. I like this theme of growth. I really like this theme of growth. When I think of growth, I think of my favorite sport, sumo wrestling. I just love sumo wrestling. I lived in Japan for a couple years. I love the food, I love the people, I love the culture, and I learned to love me some sumo. It turns out it's a great sport. And I want to show you how sumo works, and I want to demonstrate for you the first sumo match I ever attended. It was an epic match, and it pitted this giant man behind me. His name's Konoshiki. He's like King Kong Konoshiki. Konoshiki weighed 680 and 40 pounds, just a giant human being. And it pitted him against a much smaller man. It's the first match I ever saw. His name's Terrell. And Terrell was my size, 195 pounds, so he's 3 times larger. And I want to show you, sort of act out how sumo works. It's super cool, and hopefully the dots will connect for you. On this side, you've got King Kong Konoshiki, giant man, and they face off across the coffee from each other in this duel, and they're kind of looking at each other, and they try to intimidate each other. So Konoshiki looks over at him, and he's a giant man, slaps his belt, makes really loud noises, and sort of stares him down like this. And then tiny Terrell is on the other side, little guy, and he's facing him off, and he doesn't slap his belt as much, but he shows he's really flexible, and he kicks his legs up, and he gets down, and he's looking at him and staring him down. Quite ready yet, though. And here's Konoshiki on this side, King Kong Konoshiki, giant human being, 600. He's undefeated at the time. Terrell's the up-and-comer, and he leans down, and he looks at him, and he says in Japanese, "Oh, konbanwa, onegaishimasu, ganbarimasu." They're not ready yet. And here's Terrell on this side, and they're ready to go. And Terrell's ready in the match. It's an epic duel. Terrell's the underdog. It's the first match I'd ever gone to. Konoshiki's undefeated. He's a giant man standing across from me, ready to tear my head off. I get down, and there's a referee right here, and the referee says, "Go." And Konoshiki comes at me, and I get down on Terrell, and I'm down low, and I grab his belt, and I spin him around, and Terrell, tiny Terrell, beats King Kong Konoshiki in my first ever sumo match. It was awesome. I'm gonna have to get in better shape if I'm gonna do sumo wrestling on stage, because I'm a little out of breath. Now, why the heck am I telling you a story about tiny Terrell versus King Kong Konoshiki? I tell you the story because tiny Terrell is that's why we're here at Hubspot. That's why we started Hubspot. We want to help all of you gain leverage and get exceptional growth. We want to help you take on giant competitors and take them down. That's why Dharmesh and I started the company. We like the attackers, and we want to help those attackers gain leverage and grow and take down the big, heavy defenders. How's that sound? Cool. Okay, now I came across some interesting data about all of us Terrells in the room, us attackers. And it's some analysis that was recently done by Fortune magazine about the Fortune 1000, the largest 1,000 companies in America. And what it looks at is, it's really interesting analysis, the 1,000 largest companies in America in 1973, and then it compares it to the 1,000 largest companies 10 years later in 1983. And the data is quite interesting. Of the 1,000 largest companies, 350 of them were new entrants into the Fortune 1000. Kind of interesting. Now they come out with some other data that looked at the Fortune 1000 in 2003 versus the Fortune 1000 in 2013. And that data is far more interesting. The number of new entrants to the Fortune 1000 over those 10 years was 712. Now, think to yourself, what does that tell you? It's a fascinating stat. That tells me there's something really radical going on in the economy these days. It tells me it's a terrific time to be a tiny Terrell. It's a terrific time to be an attacker. It's a terrific time to gain leverage, and it's a terrific time to get exceptional growth. That's what I'm excited about. It's a great time to arm the Terrells in our industry. Now, Dharmesh's talk, he talked mostly about the changes that are taking place, that the internet's really causing all of this, and the internet's really disrupted the world of marketing. It's radically changed the way we all shop for stuff, and the whole idea behind Hubspot is we want to enable marketers to transform the way they market to match the way humans actually shop for stuff today. And that's been great. And today I'm going to step us down a new path in Hubspot, a very interesting new path, the next chapter in Hubspot. I don't think the internet's just changed the way people shop. I think it's radically changed the way people evaluate products and buy stuff too. I think the shopping process and the buying process both are radically different, And what HubSpot wants to do is transform the way you sell to match the way people actually buy today. So I'm going to start talking about sales today, and I'm going to cover it in the same format Dharmesh. I'm going to give you my perspective on the new buyer. What does that new buyer look like and what's different? And then I'm going to talk about the new seller. How does that new seller need to change? Then I'm going to give you some perspective on the sales platform. How's that sound? Okay, cool. Let's start with our perspective on sales. I came across some really great research from Forrester, and well, that worked. In Forrester, they surveyed hundreds of buyers of stuff, and they asked the buyers of stuff to grade us sellers of stuff. And the grades are fascinating, really fascinating. It turns out our sellers of stuff aren't doing very well in the buyers' minds. We got all Fs and 1 C+, and the C+ was in our own, the seller's product. So we didn't even make the honor roll on our own damn products on the sales world. In my mind, when I look at that report card, I think the sales playbook is fundamentally broken. I think the way people buy has radically changed, and the way we sell needs to radically change. And that's what I want to talk about today, is that broken sales playbook. I think what's underneath this broken sales playbook and the new way of selling, I think that if you unpack it, I think the big problem is it's an information shift. It used to be that the sales rep and the prospect, well, they had very different information. The sales rep had all the information, the prospect had none. So let me give you an example. If the prospect wanted detailed product specs, well, they had to go through the sales rep to get that. If the prospect wanted to talk to your founder, well, they had to go through your sales rep to do that. If the prospect wanted to find about pricing and discounting, well, the sales rep held the keys to that. Sales rep had all of the power and all of the information. It was a very different world, and very recently it was a very different world. If I look at that same situation today, it's totally changed. It's completely different today, where the sales rep and the prospect have pretty much the exact same information. If that prospect wants detailed product specs, well, they'll go to your website. That prospect wants to talk to your founder, well, let's go to LinkedIn. It's pretty easy. If that prospect wants pricing or discounting information, well, you can go to Quora and ask a few questions on there. There's a big shift going on in the seller-buyer relationship, and it used to be that the sales rep had the power in that relationship. Today, it's totally different. Today, the prospect has the power. It used to be the sales rep was the trusted advisor in the buying process. Today, Google is the trusted advisor in the buying process. It used to be a buyer beware world. The seller could say pretty much whatever he or she wanted, and it was up to the buyer to make a good decision, and there was virtually no recourse if the buyer was unsatisfied with the brand's promise and what was delivered. Today, it's a seller beware world. If you don't sell properly, if you sell unfair expectations, the payback is a bear, because there's a lot of recourse. There's a ton of sites. You can use Twitter to complain, you can use Facebook, you can use LinkedIn, you can use Yelp. There's hundreds of new sites that give a voice to the buyer. It's a seller beware world. I kind of think of the sales process and the buying process. The buying process today has become Yelpified. It's a Yelpified buying process today. Now, a lot of you out there are probably thinking to yourselves, Halligan's full of crap. I don't buy this Yelpification stuff. I don't buy it. I'm stuck in the 90s. It's still, nothing's changed in the sales world. Well, I would argue pretty much every industry is being Yelpified. And my favorite industry that's being Yelpified is this one. Prisons. 42 reviews on Yelp. It got 3 stars, better than most hotels. Brilliant. Okay, I'm gonna indulge you for a second. I want to read one review on here. Wendy L. had to stay in San Quentin prison. I want to read you what she had to say. So here's Wendy. After being taken in, I was greeted by a friendly male officer who asked me a series of questions. At no time did the officer violate any of my constitutional privileges, and even gave me a juice box after I said I was thirsty. Yes, you heard right. They have juice boxes in the prison. Ha! Brilliant. If you don't think the prospect has the power, even the darn prisoner has the power today. Let's just take HubSpot. A lot of you are HubSpot customers out there. Frankly, I think you'd be crazy to buy a product from HubSpot just based on what the sales rep said. What you would do if you're interested in buying HubSpot's marketing product is, if I were you, I would go to G2 Crowd. G2 Crowd is the Yelp of the software industry, and there's hundreds of people who have reviewed HubSpot's marketing product on there. If I were interested in buying HubSpot's Signal sales products, I would go to the Google Chrome store. There's thousands of people who have reviewed Signals on the Chrome store. You'd have rocks in your head if you didn't go check that out. If you're interested in buying our book, I'd go to Amazon. Hundreds of people have reviewed our book on Amazon. It is a Yelpified world. The buyer has radically changed. We all need to get over ourselves. The prospect has the power. Okay. Now, given that the prospect has the power and there's a radical change in the way people buy, who thinks the seller needs to change too? Help me out. I'm in violent agreement with you. I've hired 700 or 800 sales reps in my career, a lot of sales reps. And the profile of the sales rep I've been hiring has radically shifted just in the last couple years. There's a very different new profile of sales rep that needs to be hired to deal with this new buying process and the new buyer. What I want to do is I want to take you through the old profile I used to hire on and the new modern profile built just to deal with that new buying process. Okay. So my old criteria when I used to hire sales guys was I was looking for ABCers, always be closers, very aggressive reps. But today, I'm looking for ABHers, always be helping. Very, very different. It used to be that I wanted to hire sales reps with sharp elbows. Today, I want to hire sales reps with sharp minds. It used to be that I want to hire backslapping, extroverted sales reps. That worked great for me my whole career. Now, this is an interesting one. John Belushi is a real extrovert in that movie. In Dharmesh, he just talked about how introverted he is. It turns out that there's another role in between extrovert and introverts, and I learned this from Daniel Pink, actually, and it's referred to as ambiverts. And ambiverts are more balanced. They're sort of in between the two. Now what I'm looking to hire are much more ambiverted, grounded, down-to-earth sales reps, not the backslapper types. It used to be that all the reps I hired were what I called opaque. And these were reps that hated my website and hated the fact that I had pricing on the site and hated the fact that I had a free trial. That sales rep wanted to hide reality from the prospects. By the way, that movie is Frost Nixon. It's a little obscure. I don't know if people got that one. Today, it's very different. I want to hire sales reps that are much more transparent, like our friend Bridget Jones. Much, much more transparent. That lean into the new realities of the new buyer. It used to be that I hired highly motivated sales reps, like Aaron Brockovich. But today, I still hire highly motivated sales reps. That's the one criteria that remains from my selling career from the 90s and the zeros, the last decade to today. You still want highly motivated sales reps. That's the key criteria. So my criteria has totally changed for how I hire sales reps at HubSpot. I think all of you need to change your criteria as well. If you want to gain leverage and grow, you need a new criteria for reps. Now, one of the nice things about these 5 criteria is they spell out a sweet acronym that's perfect for our venue here in Boston. Wicked smart sales reps. Okay. Have a little drink. So given that the buyer's radically changed, and given that the seller needs to radically change, who thinks that the sales platform needs to radically change? give that a yes and a no, actually. I'm not going to give you a resounding yes on that one. I've been buying and using sales platforms for 20 years now. And I'm kind of a student of the sales platform game. And what I want to do is walk you through how I think about the sales software industry. If you're going to talk about the sales software industry, you're obviously going to talk about CRM. And there's two things I love, absolutely love about CRM products. So that I just love. The first thing I love about CRM products is the category was invented actually in 1994. And so there's a lot of products on the market, and they're very good and they're very stable and they do a very good job. We here at HubSpot, we use Salesforce.com, and we're actually very happy customers of theirs. The second thing that I love about CRM systems is they work great for the VP of sales. So our VP of sales loves it, tracks activity and funnel and activity, all that stuff's necessary and useful, and you still need it. I don't think it's completely sufficient, though, to handle that new buyer and our new smart sales rep. And there are three gaps I see in the CRM world, and I want to walk you through very quickly those three gaps. The first gap is that although the CRM works for the VP of sales, it tends to just create work for the sales rep. It just eats a lot of time for that sales rep. And we did some analysis on this at HubSpot. Our average sales rep spends an hour and 32 minutes a day filling out forms and manually entering data into our CRM system. And Dharmesh talked about developers when they're typing, they create leverage, but when sales reps are typing, they're destroying leverage. That's kind of a waste of time for them. So that's the first issue. CRM systems are essentially an empty vessel, and humans have to fill them. The second issue I have with CRM systems is they don't do a lot to help me deal with this new buyer. They don't bring me the context that that new buyer wants me to use in that sales process to improve my grades. And I came up with a new term there, selping. It's like sell and help. And I tried it the other way, help and sell. That didn't work at all. That was helling, and that acronym didn't work. The third problem is sales reps spend a ton of time prospecting. That's a big part of their job, and CRM really doesn't do anything for that. So they're off in databases, and they're off on the web, and they spend most of their day actually not in their CRM system. The CRM system distracts them and has to pull them back in. So those are the three gaps. Because of those three gaps, what can tend to happen inside an organization is the darn sales reps stop using the CRM system. When they stop using that CRM system, it destroys the original value of tracking what's going on for that VP of sales, and the whole thing can kind of collapse on itself. It doesn't always happen, but it actually happens a lot. And so what I've been wondering for a couple years now is, do we need a different category? The VP of sales has her killer app for tracking sales. The sales rep needs her killer app for making sales. And if there were to be a category like this, it would do a couple things. One is it would prospect for the sales rep. It wouldn't send them off in the wilderness to do a bunch of prospecting, waste a lot of time. It would bring prospects to her. Then the second thing it would do for her is bring the context in outside of the CRM system, right into the CRM system, and bring that context to the rep so that rep can sell much more effectively. Okay? And the third thing it would do is do all the crap CRM data entry work that those sales reps hate to do and causes all the problems in the first place. Now, this is a very interesting opportunity here, and last year we announced our Signals product. Who uses Signals? Okay, cool. And the analogy we use, and Signals does a little tiny piece of this stuff. It helps you have context around email. And the analogy we used when we released Signals was we wanted to turn your salespeople into superheroes like Batman, and this would be like Batman's belt. And Batman loves him some Signals belt. He really does. It's been very helpful. We've got hundreds of thousands of users of it. We're really happy with it. One thing Batman likes even better than his belt is his sidekick, Robin. He really likes him some sidekick. Robin is a very useful part of the Batman game. And so today at HubSpot, we're announcing a pretty cool new product. It does all that stuff I described. It's a killer application for sales reps, and it helps sales reps sell, and it pairs perfectly with the CRM system and allows that to track, and we call that new product Sidekick. Okay. I want to show you a demo of how Sidekick works and how it brings Salesforce.com alive and turns that sales rep into a superstar at one of our favorite customers, Care.com. Let's roll the video.
Sales reps have a tough job and they're not alone, and we can help. Sidekick brings anything you could possibly know about your contacts and accounts to where you live, the web and your email inbox. The features we've been working on help you send emails at the right time that are relevant to the people you're trying to have a conversation with, and have that conversation with an entire company, not just one contact. So how's this all work? As you email your contacts, the ones you want to sync to CRM will automatically be synced in. It'll show you everything your CRM knows about these folks. It'll fill in the gaps when you don't have that information. And if you want to add or edit, you can do so without having to log into your CRM.
And so what we want for the sales team is we want them to be as armed as possible when they're talking to the prospect. And having that type of information only makes a call that's been planned prior to that much more effective, because you've spent time researching, understanding the potential customer. You can have a better discussion with them. You'll be able to tell the pages that they're looking at, and it lets you know prior to making that phone call, okay, they're interested in X, Y, and Z, and that's how I'm going to tailor my phone call.
For example, let's say you're on the website of a company that's a great customer. You can see the entire history of that deal and then find 5 more companies just like them to prospect. And what does that prospecting look like? You start by saving you a bunch of research time, show you where the company is, how far along they are, and what they do, whether there are any Salesforce CRM records existing. From any website, you can see a list of contacts at that company. You can easily add them into CRM. Add more than one to build out the org chart. Back in the inbox, anybody you communicate with, you can see their name and photo, where they live on social media, and your full history with them. If you're connected with CRM, you'll see if they're in your CRM as well.
Now that the Care.com marketing team is using the Hubspot marketing platform, and the Care.com inside sales team is using the Hubspot sales platform, we're more aligned than we've ever been before. And if you're going to have an effective sales machine, that's the best way to do it, is to have both of those folks as tightly knit as possible.
Sidekick lets you use your CRM without having to use your CRM. Let us do some of the heavy lifting and save you some time. Even a superhero needs a sidekick.
Really happy about that new product. I think you're going to love it. For those of you using Signals, Signals is now a feature of Sidekick. You'll automatically get Sidekick. Sidekick is way more powerful. If you like Signals, you're going to love Sidekick. And Sidekick's benefiting from one thing from Signals. I think something we did right on Signals was we used a freemium pricing model. So many of you use it for free, and the power users pay for it. And we're going to inherit that same exact pricing model to make it easier for you to use it. And Sidekick is freemium as well. I want you to keep an eye on this bat channel. Last year, the Sidekick team was a startup within a startup. Now it's a company within a company. It's a big team, and there is a boatload of cool new stuff coming out from this team. So keep your eye on it. Sidekick's going to be very exciting over the next couple years. Okay. I need everyone's help with the little debate we're having in Hubspot about product. So if it's okay, I'm going to do a little poll with all of you. Okay. My first question is, can you clap for me if you're currently a Salesforce.com user? Can you go ahead and clap for me? My second polling question is if you're not a Salesforce.com user, can you clap for me? That's what I thought. The debate that's been going on inside of Hubspot is whether we should build, you folks that just clapped, your own CRM system just for you. Oh. Okay, I sort of got that feeling. And so we've been going back and forth on this internally. We've been having a lot of debates. Actually, for a few years, we're debating whether we should build, all of you who just clapped, your own CRM system that works just for you. And I want to go back to my product guys, and I want to give them some clear direction. So if you think we should just get over ourselves already and build you guys your own CRM system, can you clap for me? I had a feeling you were going to say that. We had that debate a year ago after Inbound, and we put a giant team on it, and we built you your own awesome CRM system. Hubspot's now in the CRM business. That's all. I'm just going to go. So let's have a look. Should we have a look? This is what the HubSpot CRM system looks like. And there's one thing that really grabs me when I look at HubSpot CRM system. Something that really jumps out. It looks a lot like a CRM system. It really does. It's got contacts, it's got companies, it's got deals, it's got forecasts, it's got tasks. We have ourselves a real CRM system, not some rinky-dink thing. This thing is very interesting. But it's not a typical CRM system. It doesn't work like other CRM systems. It's very special. This CRM system works for you. I want to show you a demo of it. And when I demo it, I'm going to demo our CRM system in Sidekick. You can use these products both separately, but man, is there a lot of power if you use them together. So if you'll indulge me, I'm going to show the demo of both of them together. Now, the demo I want to show you is a real scenario. So as you might imagine, I want to get as many people signed up for my new products as possible. And there's one prospect that's here at Inbound that I think is a pretty good fit. It's a company called Atlassian. Atlassian's sort of our sister company, and I happen to know Jay over there, who's their president, and he's speaking at Inbound. And so he's a perfect fit for this product. What I want to do, I'm going to start the sales process with Jay, and you can follow along as I demo through it. And I want to go get him and see if I can get him using HubSpot and use our new products. First thing I want to do with Jay is I want to send him an email. I don't want to send him a crappy email, though. I want to send him an awesome email that's full of context. It's context-rich that he's going to open, and he's going to click through, and he's going to respond to. And the problem with sending one of those really good emails is they involve a little bit of a research project. If I'm going to send him a really good email, I got to go into CRM and look him up. I got to go into the HubSpot timeline and look him up. I have to go look him up in social media. I have to do a whole bunch of stuff, and it takes me 15 or 20 minutes. I'm a busy guy. I don't have 15 or 20 minutes. I don't really like these research projects. I'm not a big research guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let HubSpot CRM software do that research for me. I'm going to start creating the email, and as I'm typing in Jay's name, Sidekick will pop up. Very cool how it pops up on the side. And what I really need is context, and that's what Sidekick gives me. Sidekick tells me a little bit about Jay. Sidekick will give me a HubSpot-style timeline to see what's been going on back and forth. Sidekick will let me look at him inside of our CRM system, and Sidekick will even let me check him out in LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter. I'm kind of a Twitter guy, and so let's have a look at Jay on Twitter. And this is his recent tweets, and I can retweet him right from within my CRM system, or I can follow him right from within my CRM system. All super, super powerful. HubSpot CRM system brings the context to me. HubSpot CRM system works for you. Okay, I got the context I need. And now I'm going to go ahead and craft my email and send that email off to him. Piece of cake, I've got all the context. Now I can send him a really good email and send that email off. And let's take a look at Jay inside my CRM. By the way, when I think of that email, the reason your email boxes are flooded with crap emails with no context is that little research project is a pain in the neck to do, and sales reps skip that step. What Sidekick's going to enable you to do is get that context in there and get a good grade on your selling report card. Now let's go and take a look at Jay inside my CRM system. This is what he looks like. This is what the contact record looks like in the CRM system. Very clean, very sexy. What do you think? Couple cool things happen here. From that email, HubSpot figured out that I was engaging Jay and automatically can create Jay's record in here, pull in all kinds of useful information, like his email address and his picture and his Twitter. All that stuff gets pulled automatically into HubSpot CRM. And then that timeline gets pulled in automatically, and that timeline is something very special. That timeline is sort of it's a combination of things. It's HubSpot's marketing timeline, so website visits, blog articles read, marketing emails, it's all that marketing stuff we know and love, combined with all our one-on-one correspondence over email and that stuff. So you'll notice I sent him an email and it automatically cut and pasted that email right inside of the timeline. So cool. HubSpot does the work for you. Okay? Okay. So that's the contact record. Now what I want to do is create a company record inside my CRM. Typical thing you have to do in CRM. And that's a bit of a research project I'm going to have to do. I don't particularly like research projects. This research project's going to involve, I got to go to their website and find a bunch of information and Crunchbase and Google a bunch of stuff, and I'm cutting and pasting and cutting and pasting. I'm like Sir Paste a lot here as a sales rep. Really don't like these research projects. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let HubSpot do the research project for me. So HubSpot's figured out from Jay's email that he works at Atlassian. And so it's going to create that company record automatically for me. And it's going to populate it with all sorts of useful nuggets. So it's going to go out and find for me very useful stuff like how many employees work there, how big is the company, the address, the Twitter handle, all kinds of interesting stuff. So awesome. It pulls it in from the web. I didn't enter any of that data. It automatically listens and pulls all that stuff in for me. And then it creates a killer timeline just for Atlassian. And it's the same type of timeline, but it's everything everyone at Atlassian's been doing with my company, combined with awesome stuff that we're finding out in the internet. So in this case, it found a great article out in the internet about Atlassian and pulls articles in and pulls tweets in automatically, and it keeps it up to date with me. So friggin' cool. Okay, so I got a question for you. At this point, I've got a fully filled out profile for Jay, and I've got a timeline. And that timeline's pretty sweet. I'm off watching sumo or playing baseball or doing some crazy thing. It's working 24/7 for me, doing research projects to pull that context in for me to help me sell. Same thing for Atlassian. It's automatically created Atlassian. It's built that timeline for me. That timeline's working for me 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. I could be goofing off, but my CRM works for me. How many forms have I filled out in my CRM system? 0. I haven't entered a single piece of data inside of Hubspot CRM. It all automatically happened. No grunt work for your sales rep. Cuts that hour and 32 minutes out per day. Pretty cool. Okay. Now what I've got to do is I got another project I got to do. What I want to do is, Jay may be a good prospect for me, but I'm not sure he's the buyer. I'm going to go try to find some other executives and build out the org chart inside of my CRM system. And so I got a bit of a research project I got to do here. And I probably have to go to LinkedIn, and I have to go to their website and the management page, and I got to do a bunch of research and a bunch of cutting and pasting. And I don't like research projects, so I'm going to let HubSpot CRM system do the research for me. So when I go over to Atlassian's site, Sidekick follows me along there, and it brings the CRM system in right next to me, and it does 2 magical things. The first magical thing it does for me, I'm right on Atlassian's homepage, I haven't done squat, and it pulls in for me all of the key executives from Atlassian right into that Sidekick, and I can organize them by engineering or marketing or sales executive. It pulls in everybody who's on that executive team so I could see it right in my Sidekick. No searching, no LinkedIn, right in my browsing experience. And then it does the second brilliant thing, is it tells me which of those executives inside of Atlassian are connected with people at HubSpot. Not a loose connection like LinkedIn, but a tight connection that they're emailing back and forth. So it not only tells me the executives, but it tells me which executives I can easily connect. How cool is that? Okay. So that research project's done. HubSpot did the work for me. I got something else to do. I've built out Atlassian. I'm going to sit on Jay and wait till hopefully Jay will respond to my email. I think he will. I sent him a good email. I'm going to go do some additional prospecting. And when I do additional prospecting, that's a bit of a research project I'm going to have to do. Is a bunch of research. I'm going to have to go to Hoovers and data.com and do a bunch of searching on the web. It's like a half-hour project. And I don't like research projects. I'm a busy guy. And so I'm going to let HubSpot CRM do the research for me. And so HubSpot CRM goes out, and it's sweet. It goes and finds 6 prospects that look exactly like Atlassian that thinks are perfect fits for me. So it saves me 15 minutes. HubSpot CRM does the work for you. And so I found some prospects here. Oh, sorry, I skipped a step. That was how you added it in the CRM system. Sorry about that. This is how you find prospects. So these are some prospects it found. 6 different prospects, really cool, very simple. Now what I want to do is I want to call on one of these prospects. So I'm going to click on Asana. Asana is a company I've kind of heard of. Let's go to their website. When I go to their website, as the sales guy, after I did my prospecting, I built up my list. Now what I need to do, I've got some work to do. I've got a little research project I've got to take care of. And that research project involves me spending 15 or 20 minutes inside my CRM. And I got 2 things I'm trying to solve. I'm trying to figure out, are they in my territory? And I'm trying to figure out, has another sales rep claimed them? Because I hate when I do a ton of work and another rep has claimed the account. Now that research project is kind of thing. I don't particularly like research projects. I'm a pretty busy guy. And so I'm going to let HubSpot CRM do the research for me. And so HubSpot CRM comes right into my browsing experience and it tells me, yes, it's in my territory. It tells me the number of employees and it tells me the location. It's in California, right down the street from Atlassian. And it tells me that there's no other sales rep working for it. So I don't have to go and do that big research project. All that research is done for me by HubSpot CRM project. Now what I want to do is enter Asana into my CRM system. I don't have to go log into my CRM. I don't have to fill out any forms. I just make 2 clicks of the mouse. And that's how easy it is to add Asana into the CRM system. This is a different kind of CRM system. This is a CRM system that works for you. Okay. All right, making some progress. I'm having a pretty good day using the CRM. I got some more work to do. Let's get on. Let's do a little more prospecting. But while I'm doing some prospecting, I noticed something interesting. Jay's on my site. I knew he'd like my email. He opened my email. He's on my site right now, so I got him. So I'm going to click right on Jay's face, and that's going to bring me right to Jay's page inside of HubSpot CRM, that gorgeous page where you're looking at it. And HubSpot CRM has been working 24/7, 365 for me, and it found a couple of nuggets and added it to the timeline. And those nuggets are that Jay opened my email, and Jay indeed is right now on my website. Pretty cool. So it's time to take some action. Let's go sell something. And so I'm going to take some action. In HubSpot CRM, there's a bunch of actions I can take. I can very easily add a note into the CRM system. I can send him an email right inside the CRM system. I can schedule an appointment right inside that CRM system. All that is very easy. All that cool CRM stuff is built into the HubSpot system already. That calendar invite is pretty cool. It syncs perfectly with your Google Calendar. Really nice. But what I really like to do at this point, I think he's ready for a call. He's qualified. He's been on our site. He's opened my email. I want to give him a call. What I've always wanted in a CRM system, what I never thought made sense, is sales reps, they use their browser a lot, they use email a lot, and they use their phone a lot. What I always thought was that darn phone system and the CRM system they should get married and merged together. And that phone system should work right inside of your CRM. And we built that inside of HubSpot CRM. There's a phone system right inside of it. Okay. So I'm ready to give, this is what it looks like. I'm ready to give Jay a call. It looks up Jay's number for me automatically. And so I'm going to go ahead and give him a call. And here's how the call goes. Hello, it's Jay from Atlassian. Hey, it's Brian from HubSpot. How's it going? Hey, Brian, I was just on your site looking at your new product. No kidding, really? Pretty cool. Can we set up a demo? How about Thursday? Great, let's do Thursday. Can't wait, talk to you then. So that's our phone call. We hang up the phone call, right? All from within HubSpot. And now what I need to do as a sales rep, I got a little project I have to do. I have to write up my notes and then send the notes to my boss. And she's going to review the notes, and then she's going to call me, and we're going to go back and forth. And I had to interpret my conversation with Jay in my notes, and then she reads my notes, and she has to interpret my interpretation. So we lose all this fidelity in it. What would be really cool is if that darn conversation was just in another event on the timeline, and I could just point her into the timeline, and she could listen to that phone call herself, and we save all kinds of time. So that's what that looks like right in the timeline. Okay. So I got Jay on the hook. I got a potential deal. I'm going to go ahead and HubSpot CRM, as you might expect, you can create deals inside of it very easily. And so let's go and do that. But before I do that, I got a question for you. I've been doing all this work. I got Atlassian set up. I got this timeline working 24/7, building context for me. I got Jay's record. I got one of Jay's colleagues' records in there. I got Asana in there. It's working 24/7 for me. So I got all this work working for me. How many CRM forms have I filled out? 0. I haven't entered any data yet. All of this happens automatically for the sales rep. They save 1 hour and 32 minutes of the day doing data entry. HubSpot CRM works for you. Okay, let's set up the deal. And so I'm going to go ahead and put the deal. I've been accused before of having rose-colored glasses, so I'm going to put in that Jay's going to spend $5,000 with me. And I'm going to put in the level of qualification on the deal, the typical stuff you would do inside of a CRM system, and go ahead and populate that in. And there's 2 interesting bits of data in there. I gave you a dollar amount and a funnel stage. That information, it turns out, is wildly valuable for our marketer friends. And that new information is available for our marketer friends. Now they can segment on that data, create lists on that data, and do marketing automation with dollars in it and with funnel stages. So HubSpot CRM does the work for you and your marketing department. Okay. This is my view of the forecast. I like this personally. It looks like, I used to track my forecast on the whiteboard, and it's sort of like I tracked it. These are the different phases of the funnel. Very easy to move stuff along as I'm making progress. It's very modern software built on a modern stack. It's lightning fast and very easy to use. That's my forecast view, highly customizable. This is the view my boss likes to look at. She's got a very different perspective on the business than I do. Super cool view she's got. And feeling pretty good about it. There's one more thing inside the CRM system that makes it very helpful, not just for inside salespeople, but we built an iPhone CRM app for all you outside salespeople out there. You can take a look at it here. It looks pretty cool. Okay. All right. So that's an overview of HubSpot's CRM system. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, let's take a look at a video of a customer who's been using it recently, and see what they say about it.
At HubSpot, we looked at the way salespeople were using CRMs, and we found a lot of places where the CRM was adding extra work to those salespeople, where the CRM was getting in the way of their process.
We knew that we loved HubSpot on the marketing side of things, and so it was definitely worth exploring what it could do on the CRM sales side of things.
With HubSpot CRM, we wanted to build a system that sales reps actually wanted to use. And the way that you do that is by reducing the amount of work that sales reps have to do in order to use the system and increasing the amount of data that they can get out of the system.
With HubSpot CRM, we see that our salesmen are going in armed and ready for battle. They can already see the dialogue that's occurred with that customer. They're seeing the content that they've consumed, they're seeing how they've transitioned through the funnel, what's made a difference, and maybe what hasn't, so that when they go in, contextually, they're able to start at where that customer's need lie, start at the interest point. That has immediate benefit back to us and obviously value to the customer. That's what it's all about.
So with most CRMs, the focus is about actually manually inputting all of your interaction points into the CRM. With HubSpot CRM, it's actually the opposite. As a salesperson, I have to do very little or even no data entry whatsoever, and the system is actually giving me information back. And because they both run off the same inbound database, everything in the HubSpot marketing platform, like website visits, recent tweets, and other interactions, are all available in HubSpot CRM.
And so as a sales rep, I have that information, so immediately I can call them, maybe see if they have questions about that report download or schedule that demo that they're interested in.
I can call right from inside the CRM. And when I make that call, it automatically gets recorded, so I can see my history of every email, every note, every interaction, every phone call, and it automatically gets put into my timeline.
I could follow up with an email without even opening up my email. I can just send it from that contact record. And all of these tasks seem so small, but they take up a lot of time. And so if we can do email and phone calls without even clicking out of that contact record, we're saving a lot of time and putting it to more valuable use.
CRM is an important decision, and the hope was that we would see some meaningful metric changes in the metrics that were important to us, that lead conversion ratio, that sales productivity cycle, and that's what we've seen. HubSpot CRM has shown us that they are the tool that can get us to where we need to go.
Nice. Okay, I want to tell you one more story before we wrap up. We had a big debate inside of HubSpot about how should we charge for the CRM products. There's a big debate that was going on. I want to tell you about the debate that happened inside of HubSpot. The debate started, I went to Brad Coffey, who runs my, he's a the product management head at HubSpot, and I said, Brad, what do you think we should charge for the CRM product? Brad went away and he pounded on his spreadsheets and he came back. He had a 100-page PowerPoint presentation. He came back to me. And the bottom line in the presentation was the last slide. He said, we should charge $65 a month for the CRM. Not a penny more, not a penny less. That's the perfect price. Okay? And then I asked John Kinzer, my CFO. I said, John, what do you think we should charge for the CRM? John went away and was slaving over a hot spreadsheet for a week. He came back to me with a giant model. He opened the model up and the lights dimmed inside of HubSpot. The model was so big, and he said, we should charge $77.25 not a third of a cent more or a third of a cent less. Okay? Then I went to Dharmesh. I said, Dharmesh, what do you think we should charge for the CRM product? Dharmesh went away and did whatever the hell Dharmesh does. I'm not quite sure what he does all the time. It's some mountain somewhere. Dharmesh came back, he said, I really like that pricing model we have for Sidekick. A lot of people use it for free, it spreads the love, we give them the full platform, people will buy our other products. I really like that one. Okay. And so the debate ensued. And the PowerPoint people were battling the spreadsheet people were battling the mountain people, and they battled it out. And the good news for you is the mountain people won. We're going to use that same freemium model for HubSpot CRM. Okay. You get a free CRM, you get a free CRM, you get a free CRM, you get a free CRM. You all get a free CRM from HubSpot. Okay. I'm going to wind down a little bit. If you're interested in Sidekick in HubSpot CRM, go to hubspot.com/sales. We've got information on both products. Sidekick is ready to roll now. HubSpot CRM is ready to roll now, but we want to be a little careful how we roll it out. So we're going to roll it out to our customers and our partners first, and we'll roll it out to our customers and partners over the next couple of months. We'll probably sign up 1,000 of you today and get you going on it. We want to be careful. We want to make sure you're delighted on it. And then we're going to open the CRM up to the rest of the world at some point next year. So very excited about those two new products. Very exciting day, probably the biggest day in HubSpot history for us so far. I always thought we had the best, by far the best marketing platform on the market, and Dharmesh told us about how much better it's gotten over the last year. We came out with a brand new killer app for salespeople to enable them to sell better and sell more effectively with more context. and we came out with our own CRM product, really kick-ass new CRM product. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to build you a growth platform, a platform that enables you to be the Terraus of your industry, to be the attackers to take down the big guys in your industry and get great exponential growth. That's why we're here. What I want to do is thank all the HubSpotters who have worked so hard for us in the last year. I want to thank our partners. We love our partners. And thank all of our customers, and thank you all for coming. It's been a great day.